Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jimmy here. Guys, as you can tell by the title of this video, we're gonna do a review of something. So, let's just hop into the middle of things and let's get dangerous. So guys, as you guys can tell by the title of this video, DarkWing Duck is up on the menu. Let's talk about this game, and yeah, so right off the bat I'm going to say I have been playing the Game Boy version of this game. It's the version I was actually introduced to a couple of years ago. Surprisingly, yeah I know, considering how much of a 90s cartoon fan I am, the fact that I just got around to playing DarkWing Duck within the past decade is rather surprising. Even to me, but then again, there's a ton of games out there, so it's one of those things where it's oh yeah, I'll get around to playing that game. 15 years later, I finally got around to playing that game. So, anywho, let's actually talk about this game. So, right off the bat, I'm gonna say, this is the Game Boy version as stated. The NES version is usually the one people like to review, but as for myself, since I like to be a bit of a contrarian, I'm gonna review the GB version. Since, as stated, it's the one I played first. So, let's actually talk about it. What's the story of this game? So essentially this game plays a really series of small episodes of DarkWing Duck. And you fight against all the bosses. You fight against, Wolf Duck, whatever the heck his name is, Quacker Jack. You fight against all the usual DarkWing Duck enemies, including some of the ones that aren't the usual, like an owl, I guess, and a plant. And a bunch of other stuff, but you do... Actually, surprisingly, you don't fight Negaduck in this game. But you do fight Steelbeak, who is the main antagonist of this game. That is exactly who you're trying to take out. And Launchpad even makes an appearance here and there. And by here, I mean literally just on the stage select screen where he tells you where you want to go. It should be interesting to note that this game apparently runs on a modified engine. And that modified engine being the Mega Man 3 engine. Which isn't a bad thing, because Mega Man 3 is amongst the best in the series, the classic series more specifically. And yes, I will fight you on that, it is the best in the series, overall. Even if I do have extreme nostalgia for Mega Man 7 and Mega Man 8. And I know Mega Man 8 doesn't get the best rep around here. So yeah, anywho, that's pretty much the story. You're just DarkWing Duck up to fight all the villains, just to stop Steelbeak and his dastardly plan of taking over something, blah blah blah. You know how it goes by now. This is based on a Saturday morning kids cartoon show on the Disney afternoon block. There's really not much to expect here. So yeah, let's actually talk about gameplay. How does this game play? As stated earlier, it is on a modified Mega Man 3 engine. Now you can't run and shoot, but you still can jump and shoot, and this game does introduce an interesting mechanic, and that would be the grab mechanic, where you can grab onto certain items into the background, or I guess technically the foreground, so you can grab onto hooks, lanterns.
DarkWing Duck allows the ability to block in the game as well, very much so like the Mega Man 3 enemies, the Sniper Joes. This ability is actually used to block very minor projectiles by enemies, and it actually comes in handy. There's a lot of areas where you will actually use this ability to block. If not, it makes some of the platforming a little bit more trickier, especially on the Liquidator stage and the sewers. Specifically, one part in particular where using the block and the grab is pretty crucial to getting through the stage.
You do have special weapons that you collect, which, being honest with you guys, there's really only one special weapon you need, and that would be the plunger arrow. I don't really know what the heck to call it except a plunger arrow, because it literally looks like a plunger head on a goddamn arrow, which comes from a gun, which, holy cow, the more I say this out loud, the more ridiculous this sounds. Huh. Anywho, let's keep going, shall we? That's honestly the only weapon you really need, and mainly because of its versatility and the fact that it deals a crap ton of damage to bosses, and it takes out most enemies in a single hit, which, let's be honest, the gameplay is actually fairly easy. This game is not that hard, and the game can be beaten once you get it down to in about 30 minutes or so. It's done fairly quick, but the experience is extremely enjoyable. So guys, with that being said, let's talk about the graphics and sound of this game. How does this game look, and how does this game sound? So first of all, right off the bat, I'm gonna say that the graphics are absolutely stellar. The game looks great. As I stated, this is the Game Boy version of this game, so there's really not much you can expect of in terms of, colors, except, the 4 gritty tones that the Game Boy uses. And the Game Boy actually, Capcom did a pretty stellar job. Darkwing Duck looks like Darkwing Duck. Quackerjack looks like Quackerjack. Steelbeak looks like Steelbeak. Launchpad more or less looks like Launchpad, even though he's on a really, really tiny window. And all the other enemies look like what they're supposed to. There's really not much I can tell you except it's on the Game Boy game. Thankfully, there is one thing I will say about this version of the game, and that's the fact that this game does not suffer from screen crunch. And by that meaning, since this is a port of the NES version, that you don't have that weird super zoom in where everything is kind of squished up to Darkwing Duck and you don't have a lot of screen real estate to anything else, which I am extremely thankful for, because enemies don't kind of come in out of nowhere and surprise you, which is actually really, really good design. Another thing to note is that, well, the music. Holy cow, the music. This game sounds absolutely stellar. I'm pretty sure you guys may have noticed, but I actually do use the soundtrack to this game on a lot of my other videos, even when it's not appropriate. Yeah, that's mainly because I really enjoy the soundtrack. But yeah, the soundtrack is absolutely stellar. I mean, Wolf Duck's theme, the city theme, absolutely great. Steelbeak, oof. God damn. Oof. Great. That jungle theme, oh so goddamn great. Holy cow guys, I don't think you guys understand. I really enjoy this music, so I will throw it in a lot of my videos because I greatly enjoy it. That also includes the Famicom game Crisis Force, because it's a really great game, and the music's also great. But that's going to be another review for another day. Yeah, beyond that though, gameplay, absolutely stellar, based on the Mega Man 3 engine, absolutely great. The gameplay is stellar. Graphics, considering it's a Game Boy game, but you can tell what the heck everything is, and you can distinguish between the background and foreground. You can see Darkwing Duck, you can see what the enemies are. Great, absolutely stellar. And the music itself, absolutely great. Holy cow, you are going to be humming these tunes for a very long time. They're absolute bangers. So, do I recommend it? Yes, I highly recommend the Game Boy version of this game. It is absolutely underrated. When people talk about Darkwing Duck, the game, they're either going to talk about the really crappy TurboGrafx version, which is not even developed by Capcom, and it's absolutely terrible, or the amazingly stellar NES game, which, as I'm talking about it, is absolutely stellar. They won't ever talk about the Game Boy version of this game, which is criminally overlooked. So guys, I definitely give it a play. Absolutely recommend it to you. If you can find it out in the wild, play it please. It's absolutely stellar. There is also a port of the NES game on the Disney Afternoon Collection, whatever the heck that's called, which includes Chip and Dale and Darkwing Duck and DuckTales, along with Tailspin on the Steam, on the PS4, Xbox One, and Steam for PC users out there, which includes the NES version as stated, which I also very much recommend. So guys, with that being said, remember guys, you're loved, you're absolutely beautiful, And remember to get dangerous.